and I live in northern Indiana, and I'm doing everything I can to bring attention and awareness to the MyLab child trafficking situation, not just here in Indiana, but there are 39 locations in America, and then there's 41 total, and the reason they have 41 is to celebrate the owner. They call him Bush 41. Who's George H.W. Bush, who's murdered over 500 children while raping them, and that's exactly what they do. They keep children in cages, and then they drug them and bring them out, strap them down to table beds, and then they all take turns raping them. And sometimes some of those men leave, but they have like either a lottery system or a reward system, and they actually compete to see who actually gets to choke the child to death while raping them. That's the highest priority of these men. Is they like to have the moment of the children's death be at the same exact time that they ejaculate into the children's bodies. And I have been abducted to 14 out of 41 of these military locations, military intelligence laboratories, my labs, where they do much more than just rape children. The child trafficking division is only one aspect of it. But we've had some disturbing developments here in Indiana, and I would like to talk about those. And specifically, it is the man who's acting as our governor has raped 92 children and murdered 10 of them during forced intercourse. His name is Pence. But over the past 3 weeks, he's threatened to murder 17 Indiana state troopers. Now, I've had, I always remain open, and the best way you can receive information is to remain open. However, I've had a kind of negative viewpoint of the Indiana State Police, because last weekend they had 14 officers present at this gang rape and murder session at the Indianapolis MyLab. 7 of those state troopers each murdered a child. All 14 of them raped children. And unfortunately for me, I've been raped by all 14 of those state troopers. And so you can imagine my viewpoint. And then I called them, and they basically made a joke out of the situation. But later I found out they thought I was just some crazy nut job who's calling. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people call. I've heard of some people who call 911 because their order at McDonald's is wrong. So I'm sure that they hear a lot of crackpot people calling in. And so when I told them that they had 34 children that they were raping and they were going to murder that night, they didn't really take me seriously. However, now they do. And they've turned the energy weapons off a little while ago. I think it's probably been about a half hour now that I've been clear. And these weapons could just absolutely make you crazy. But the good news is, out of all this, because I've been scanning DNA of troopers, and I find we have a lot of them on our side. There's a lot of them on heaven's side. Mother and Father God in heaven are the one well, I won't go into their... Father God created this plan 300,000 years ago called divine intervention. And then there's a long story about how the Anunnaki came down, and then they altered our DNA, and then they added reptilian species into human species. And so now we have these people on the planet who are part reptilian, part human, and the problem with that is that the dark side controls the reptilians here, and every police officer in this country has been chipped with an etheric chip, and many of them also have what I call micronized robots in them. And it's usually around 2 million of them, and what it is artificial intelligence units created at DARPA by a tall white insectian. And isn't it funny that insects had the most high technology? And for the longest time, before they were arrested and removed, what they were doing was the military was trading advanced technology for our human children. And that's how they disposed of these children after they raped and murdered them. They threw them into these big bat tubs, about 4 feet tall, large circular tubs. They'd throw the bodies in, and then they'd mix them with chemicals. And then the insectians would jump in and eat the children that way. But see, the insectians have mostly been arrested by the Galactics, and also another group, I haven't checked. I know that Blue Avians, the last assassin team hired to kill me by Bush and Cheney, was a group of 46 tall whites, and they were arrested by the Blue Avians. And the Blue Avians, I can't wait till you guys see. You know, let me tell you something. The first time that you're in the presence of someone who's not even remotely human, it's like a real cheap thrill. Your adrenaline goes, and you're like, oh my God, you know. But the Blue Avians are the good guys, and they're, in the most simplest term, bird people. They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful people. They're tall and they're just so beautiful. But so I looked at these 17 officers, and I won't go into personal details about them. But one thing that's important to me is to look at someone's sacred light, not to judge people, because the way I judge people, I put people into two categories. There are those who rape and murder, and those who don't. And since my sacred obligation is to go after these men who rape and murder children, that's who I focus on. You know what I mean? I just want to focus on the real bad guys, not all the bad guys. But what really stuck out is the lowest sacred light content was 68%. And I had been scanning around a little while ago after the weapons were toning down, and I was able to calm down and think clearly. And there are a lot of Indiana State Troopers who are on heaven's side, who are on God's side, who believe in God, and they believe that raping and murdering children is wrong. Okay, what's wrong? The problem with that is the Indiana Attorney General's office supports the child traffickers. And they have made it literally impossible for anyone to prosecute and send these guys to jail. Which brings us back to serial pedophile and child murderer Mike Pence, and in him threatening the lives of these 17 police officers. And I was looking at one of the scenes, and what happens is when you pull up someone's DNA, soon everyone will be able to do this. We're all going into a state of full consciousness. We humans are, anyway. I don't know what's going to happen to the reptilians, but because normally the normal natural human state is to have more than 1 million strands of DNA activated. For the longest time we were at 2. Right now I have 728,000 strands of DNA activated, and 750,000 is well on the way to full consciousness. And what happens is we're normally telepathic. But in our DNA, all of the information is stored and everything is recorded. And so when you go into DNA, you can either pull up pictures or you can pull up videos. If you scan, and what we do is basically we communicate with each other's DNA, and also our souls communicate with each other. But then the clones are soulless. And the last time I checked, excuse me, we were down to 8 clones, which I was really happy because last time I checked, Hillary Clinton didn't have a clone. I was so glad. I can't wait until she's arrested. My God, if you've ever been in the presence of that woman, you can smell her vagina from Mars. I always tell her she needs to go to Dollar General and buy some Clorox bleach and spray it on that. Ugh. They're so nasty. But anyway, so I'm not going to mention the gender of the officer, but the officer walked up to Pence and made a very simple comment. I know what you're doing. And he got really upset. He doesn't need to be told what he's doing. And he said, hey, I am in charge. He goes, no, you listen to me. Because this is a video I'm watching out of his DNA. He goes, you listen to me. I am in charge of this state, and this is a matter of classified national security. This matter is classified by the federal government. Well, since he's being protected by the Attorney General's office, and even the state, though, because, Loretta Lynch they selected her because she was heavily involved. She was committing many felonies. And then when she found out about, I'm pretty sure that the moment she found out about the child trafficking situation, because I called her and I let those people know. I'm just so had it with this. We were used to good people like Janet Reno, who's one of my greatest heroes. I love her. She's done more for children than any other attorney general, probably since Bobby Kennedy. But, so what they normally do is when there's a good benevolent police officer, which I'd like to report that we do have them in Indiana, which is great news for me, and I just really am very happy about that. But normally, see, if it's a male officer, they threaten to take the wives and children and then throw them into the child trafficking. They say, if you approach this matter anymore, we're going to take your wives and children and we're going to kill them. Well, they're not just going to kill them. They're going to take them. Some of these children are raped 300, 400, 500 times. They pass them around. And recently there was a 13-year-old girl I met. Well, I met her from heaven. She came down from heaven. And, oh, that's another thing you can do when your DNA is activated. You can just easily communicate with anyone in heaven. Well, actually, you can do that now. All you have to do is write a letter to someone in heaven or light a candle and call their name, and they'll come in from heaven and talk to you. And but I wanted to bring this situation up because in here in Indiana, it's completely out of control. However, I did receive good news that they have to shut down the Indianapolis My Lab, where 34 children were gang raped and murdered last weekend, including police officers, corporate executives, and mostly politicians. It's mostly all politicians, politicians in the military, then corporate executives, and then police officers. And they currently they have 112 children in 7 locations. Let me pull up the DNA. There's a scan for the DNA. It's still 112 children. This is Wednesday, December 9th. And I would like to personally thank you for your prayers for these children. Have a nice day.